Hi everyone, and welcome to the Long Distance Chronicles. My name is Maddie, my boyfriend's name is Chris, and he lives in New York. Today I'm going to be talking about family and relationships, so stay tuned. I'm going to be talking a little bit about my experiences with family and relationships, and also be giving you all some tips and advice on how to navigate through family disapproval or any concerns that they may have. Long story short, just a little recap. I met my boyfriend online. I'm from the West Coast and he's from the East Coast. And naturally, as a parent, that would bring about some concerns. And that's normal and that's healthy. When I went to visit him for the first time, my family was very worried and they were very concerned. And you can go hear more about this in my video meeting for the first time. My family had a lot of concerns and they'd say a lot of comments that were, I'd say, unnecessary. And unfortunately, this caused a lot of turmoil and toxicity in my relationship with my boyfriend, and we've probably almost broken up now 4 or 5 times as a result of my family's comments. So my boyfriend is an EMT. He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't have tattoos. He comes from somewhat of a lower class family, and my family's more prestigious. So that kind of was a big red flag for them. And that's hard for me. There's a lot of issues in my relationship that my family does not approve of. When I first started dating him, a couple family members would say, "Wow, you must be so desperate to date a guy like that. Oh, your love is not real. He can't love you that much. It's never gonna work out. Oh, you're in a dream. You're just in a fantasy world. You're really not in a relationship. The only time you get together is when you see each other for maybe 5 days out of the entire year. You don't really know the person. You're not using your head, Maddie. You're blinded by love. Wow, you must be so desperate to go for a guy like that. You know, I notice that he's always talking about this. Wow, he's super nerdy. He's total geek freak. He's super dweeby. Wow, you're talking to your boyfriend? What a waste of time. He's kind of weird." These are all comments that my family and other relatives have said to me, and they're all very hurtful. Now there comes a point when, the line switches from concern to unhealthiness, and there's a line that you have to be aware of. I know myself. I would never date a person just for the heck of it. I've had very high expectations my entire life, and I have never once wanted to date anyone. I am incredibly walled off. I really don't like talking about my personal life to people, and I have a lot of anxiety issues and a lot of fear. So the fact that I even was into this relationship was significant. It meant that I felt a certain comfort and safety. To have them chastising my relationship and criticizing it was uncalled for, and it was very unhelpful. And now I get the point of where they say, be careful. I don't want you to get hurt. That's normal, and that comes from a place of concern and safety, and your parents, and your family, as your family, they support you, and that's reasonable. But when the comments come of, "Wow, he's a nerd. He's geeky. You must be so desperate. Your love is not real." That's when it crosses the line. That's when it's like, okay, you're disapproving him based on his physical appearance, based on his family. You don't even know the person. It can be difficult to differentiate. So if you have family members who are expressing concerns or disapproval of your relationship, do listen to them. They are your parents, they are your family. Do give them that respect and listen to them. Hear their opinions, because you could be in a toxic relationship. Your partner could be dangerous, he could be violent, he could be Your family might be seeing things that you don't see because you're, quote, blinded by love. So you just want to be really mindful of that. And do take into consideration your family and your parents, because generally they've had more experience with dating, etc. So they are oftentimes a good eye. Now, that being said, my parents are divorced. My dad has been married now 3 times, and my mom has been married once, but she's currently in an unhealthy relationship, and she has not had a very successful dating history. Neither has my father. So listening to their advice on how to date is not really, it's not like I'm winning the lottery here with their relationship advice, because they've had so many failed relationships. So you really do have to think about the context. If your parents are in a successful, loving relationship, then chances are they are good people to listen to. But if your parents are divorced, if they're in and out of relationships, if they're in toxic, abusive relationships, then yeah, it's important to evaluate the situation and maybe not listen to them and kind of establish some boundaries. So those who do have family members who have been in successful relationships, do have compassion for them. When they talk about your relationship, do understand that they come from a different time era and a different generation. So they may not understand everything that's going on. And especially in modern days with the technology, they may not think, they didn't have that back in the day. So they might not understand that. So just as they need to be understanding and compassionate of you, it's important for us to be compassionate and understanding of them as well. Another thing that's really important is if you are happy and rock solid in your relationship, yet your family disagrees, it's important to agree to disagree. They're not always going to see what you see. And unfortunately, they may never see how wonderful your boyfriend or girlfriend is. And that's okay. However, it's important to not let that get to you, and just know that it's something that you're going to have to agree upon, that not everyone is going to approve of your relationship. And it's sad because as people and as humans, we want our parents' approval, and that's something I struggle with constantly. And so if your parents or your family really don't approve of your relationship, that can be really hard. But if you know in your heart that this person is the right person for you, then really give yourself that boundary and establish some barriers, and just know that their opinions are valid, my feelings are valid, we're going to be okay. So if your parents disapprove of your relationship, you might want to ask them why. What red flags did they see? What concerns do they have? Are they treating you poorly? Are they abusing you? Are they taking advantage of you? All of those are, red flags that we oftentimes, being in a relationship, don't see, yet other times other people can witness and observe, and they can be very helpful in detecting those unhealthy, toxic parts of a relationship. So if you find your parents are constantly disapproving, you might want to ask them why. Another thing is, don't complain about your significant other to your family. If your family already has judgments about your relationship, if they don't like him, talking bad about them or venting to them is just going to make things worse, and it's going to further escalate the problem. So try to keep your venting and your frustrations about your boyfriend or your girlfriend to a minimum with your family, and try to find other outlets to talk with people, whether it be a support group, a therapist, a counselor, friends, and try to find alternative methods as opposed to always going to your family. And I know that can be hard because sometimes, family is all that we have. But sometimes we think family is the most supportive, and ultimately they're the most toxic to our health. So just be mindful of that. Another thing is, talk with your friends. So if your family is disapproving of your relationship, see if other people are disapproving of a relationship too, because it could just be a familial thing. It could be just their values, and maybe his values or her values don't align with the family values. And just talk to your friends as well, because they can be really helpful and give really good insight into the relationship as well. And similar, not only friends, if you have coworkers or other people that you've known throughout your life, ask them, well, what do you think of my relationship? Because that can really boost your confidence. If all you hear is negative disapproval constantly from your family, yet you're not hearing the reassurance from friends or others, that can be pretty harmful. It can be pretty toxic, and it's not good. So definitely you want to investigate the reasons why they're disapproving, yet also, want to have good support there too. Another thing that you can do is, and this isn't always going to work, unfortunately, if your parents really disapprove of your significant other, it's hard for them to see your significant other through the beautiful glasses that you do. Try to explain to them the reasons why you love them, what brought you to them in the first place. What do they do? How do they impact your life? How do they make you feel safe and comfortable? And how did they make you feel loved and reassured? And if you explain those reasons to your family, it's hoped that they'd be more understanding, and maybe they too would start to like him a little bit more. Explaining to your family why you like them is so important. Like, what attributes about them do you admire? What about them? How do they make you feel? Tell them the good stuff. Tell them the loving stuff. Because that's ultimately what your family wants to hear. They want someone who's going to treat you well. They want someone who isn't going to take advantage of you, and they want someone who's going to love you no matter what. Little fights here and there, they don't need to know that. Another thing is, if your family is disapproving of your relationship, ultimately you kind of just have to give it time. And I think that's similar with my relationship too, is my family doesn't really know my boyfriend. They say they approve, but deep down inside, I feel like they somewhat disapprove for a multitude of different reasons. And it is something that we have to work through. And ultimately, time will tell, and that's all that you can really do. And one other thing is, if you are so happy in your relationship and your significant other treats you well, and you just have an incredible time together, yet your family is making comments. Another thing that could be is they could be jealous, and they don't, unfortunately, sadly, they may not want you to be happy, and they may see that your success in your love life is a failure on them, and it makes them feel like a failure. So just keep that in mind. You deserve all the happiness in the world, no matter what people say, no matter what people think. Again, if you're in a toxic relationship, do listen to your family, do listen to others, and do respect, ultimately, overall, do respect your family's opinions and concerns, because they do care about you. Yet ultimately, it's your life and it's your relationship, and it's your choice to be with whomever you want. And so don't let their opinions get to you. They may think they know what's best for you, but they might not. Whether they disapprove because of a sexual orientation or because of an economic status, those are all superficial, really superficial things. If your parents are disapproving because, of your relationship being a homosexual relationship, or whether it be, a multicultural relationship, or they have mental illness or whatever, that's ultimately on them, and that's their issues that they have to work through, and not you. And as I said before, your happiness is what's most important. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day. Enjoy the sunshine wherever you are, if it's sunny out. Don't forget to comment and like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to the channel. Alright, thank you all, and have a wonderful day. Bye!